And welcome back. Getting your thoughts on all these things. Dave in Federal Way, Washington, a former intelligence officer. If you're the same Dave, I think you are.
Yeah, I am, Tom. Hey, yesterday I drove from Hermiston, Oregon, back to Seattle with a guy who had a Trump 2020 hat on.
Uh-oh.
Very interesting. Yeah, it's a very interesting, long conversation. And this commentary that I guess Devin Nunes is doing about, Trump doesn't like foreign aid to begin with, that's all red meat for Trump's base to keep Trump's base there. Trump just increased the amount that South Korea and Japan have to pay to the United States by 400%. Simultaneously, Kim Jong-un turned down Trump's offer for another summit. See,
right, and there's a third piece to that too, Dave, and that is that the South Koreans are in talks right now with the Chinese, and there's a big concern that they're going to stop depending, as it were, on the United States for military assistance and go to China.
Yeah, and this is kind of why I like talking to you about this, because I think you actually understand the Trump voter perspective on this. But the thing is they're not getting the big picture, but I think you do get it when you mentioned that right now, as we speak, Israel is bombing the bejesus out of Syria.
Right.
If we do not give aid, if we just go completely isolationist and focus on harassing minorities and veterans and whatever Trump voters like to do, then when these wars go hot, all right, they are going to have to send their sons and daughters to fight them. All right, there's only so long that Israel and Saudi Arabia are going to allow Iran and Russian soldiers and Turkish soldiers to dominate that region.
Right, especially Syria, where Russia has a major military base.
Yes, and the reason why I mentioned Syria and Israel is because this all harkens back to the Great Game period, when Imperial Russia was defeated by Japan. Saudi Arabia and Israel together could evict. They could evict all those Russians. They could evict all those Turks. I mean, they have the
from
technology,
Syria.
the money. Yes, from the region. And it's not Russia could face another embarrassing defeat, which would, just like they did against Japan, and this could throw the world into turmoil. I mean, this is some serious stuff.
Yeah, what people don't get is that the whole idea of the Department of State and the United Nations, I mean, obviously the State Department is as old as the country, and our first Secretary of State, I believe, was Thomas Jefferson. But I'm pretty sure. In any case, the Department of State is an ancient thing, but using it in order, for the purposes of diplomacy, and getting involved in a whole bunch of countries around the world where it doesn't seem like we have direct interests. The principal purpose of that, the reason that we so radically realigned our international relations after, in the 1930s, was because of World War I. And then after World War II, after World War I, you had Woodrow Wilson trying to create the League of Nations. The Republicans fought him, and finally it failed. And so then after World War II, they were like, okay, you can do the United Nations. We could have a UN, and Harry Truman brings us back. But it's just, I mean, it's all of the stuff that Trump is taking apart was put into place to prevent World War III.
Yes. Yeah, and Trump voters, they don't get it. Okay, this transactionalism, if that's what you want to call it, that Trump is engaged in, is only going to cause the loss of life of a lot of people that are going to die prematurely. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I don't mean to be overly dramatic, but that's exactly where this is going.
If you are the parent of a young man between the ages of 18 and 23, more or less, if my recollection is correct, or maybe it's 17 and 23, then you should be thinking real seriously about what happens if the world descends into World War III and the United States has to institute a draft to create a large enough army. And perhaps a young woman of that age, too. I mean, it's now that women are allowed in combat, the draft could extend to women as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. And that Trump voter I drove back with, he kept saying, well, America's weak. I'm like, no, I don't think you understand what weakness is. A draft would be a significant emotional event in America right now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? We are not accustomed to that, all right? Russia is not Baghdadi. Russia is not ISIS, okay?
Right.
No matter how much you want to pretend they are, Russia is a very lethal adversary, all right?
Yeah, they could drop a nuke on New York.
Well, and there's no way we're going to go against Russia without a draft. That's all there is to it.
There you go. There you go. Dave, thank you for the call. Yeah, and they've got, a massive army and a very, very competent military apparatus, and they are no dummies. I mean, Russia defeated, we like to take credit for defeating Hitler during World War II, but had Russia not jumped into the battle, into the fray, we would not have won. Hitler would have won.